I'm Rick, and I'm fitting a push rod to a mid-handle.
A mid-handle is called a mid-handle because the handle is forward of the butt. This requires a forward trigger and a push rod. It runs all the way back to the spear release mechanism.
I route a 6mm groove in the stock to take the push rod. The push rod is 3/16 of an inch, so there's a bit of play there.
The tricky part about the push rod channel is where it goes through under the handle.
The problem is, when you glue the handle on and then when you put some varnish in there to protect the wood, this can clog up the hole.
So I made up a special tool, which is just basically a bent round file, the right diameter. I heated up the file to stop it snapping, to change its temper, and then I bent it.
I only heated it where I was going to bend it because I didn't want to wreck the temper and the rest of the file.
File goes in the push rod channel and up underneath the handle, and backwards and forwards a few times, and that tends to clear away any varnish or glue that might be stuck in there.
You have to get the push rod length just right. If the push rod's too short, it doesn't matter how far you're going to pull back that trigger, it's not going to disengage the spear release mechanism. If the push rod's too long, you're not going to be able to get the spear into the mechanism in the first place. You can't have it more than 1mm out. So I like to work out what length I need, then I cut it with a hacksaw. I work out the length by dry fitting the spear gun, then measuring to get the right length for the push rod.
I make sure that the trigger's about halfway through its natural movement, so that it bears, and also it bears squarely as much as possible on the end of the push rod.
And the shape of the end of the push rod can make a difference to how long it is too.
I like to round the end of the push rod so that it engages nicely with the trigger through the whole process of moving backwards. I do this by putting one end of the push rod in a power drill, rotating it, and then using a file to get a circular shape or hemispherical shape on the end of the push rod. Then I polish it if I can.
But be aware, rounding the end of the push rod makes it effectively 1mm or 2 shorter. So you need to make sure that a rounded end one is just that little bit longer.
Once it's done,
you've got to get that push rod almost exactly the right length. Got to make sure that push rod channel is clean and lets the rod move freely in it. It's one of those things you just have to play around with till you just get it.